than anything. Go. Let's center everything, and I think we're ready to go. Yes, both players keeping their opening 7 and facing off swamp to swamp. I guess Yella's article saying that swamp is the best color right now is either influencing or very correct. Gifted Etherborn as the first. I know that Peter is playing a vampire deck, and Ian is playing mostly blue-black control. I think it's his Scarab's army, Scarab God's army deck, and we have a Martyr for Peter. Forgot which one. Martyr of Dusk for Peter. It's kind of the main problem that Vampires has right now, is that they have a bit of an awkward 2-drop slot at this point in time. So that's the two common ones, and the Gifted Etherborn on the other side, also a vampire. Wait, no sound. I'm pretty sure that's your problem then. Such an obvious troll. Okay, attack coming in, and I think that's a Gonti. Yeah, I know, it's Shadow just trying to troll me and failing horribly. Once you get to know the guy, he's quite manageable. Okay, Ian just played Gonti against the vampire deck. The Gifted Etherborn is a vampire itself. That might come into play here in case there's a tribal effect. Apparently there are quite a few interesting cards there. So let's see what Ian actually goes for. Picks a card. He's currently playing mono black, it seems, but doesn't look to be too hindered by that restriction. Peter, who is more of a aggro slash mid-range deck, isn't really putting on crazy amounts of aggro. For some reason my frame got shifted, it seems. Now I have to adjust all the other things, god damn it. There we go. Sorry, got a bit distracted. Call to Feast deploys a pocket army for Peter. Something dusk. The one whenever a vampire attacks, your opponent loses a life. Forgot what it's called, but it says whenever. Yeah, it's not dusk something. Whenever a vampire attacks, your opponent loses 1 life. Champion maybe. Sanctum Seeker. Thank you very much, Marshmallow. Gentry, where crap rares get their spot in the glory. Their time in the spotlights. Oh, we have a Canadian visitor. No, wait. My Canadian visitor wouldn't know that that's called Sanctum Seeker. I am confused now. Or it is a Brugse visitor. Marshmallow 13. Is it the visitor from Bruges? I think so. We have a Adanto Vanguard. On the side of Peter, so capable of pushing some offense. Welcome to the chat, Marshmallow. So Adanto Vanguard. So this is that card that lets you attack when it looks like you shouldn't be able to attack anymore. It's such an instrumental part in every aggro deck to punch through anything that is sort of mid-range, and that's definitely what Ian's deck is. I'm actually a bit surprised with Ian's choice. Ah no, the Sanctum Seeker is the Gonti card, of course. Yeah, that makes more sense for Peter to have it, of course. Alright. Okay. Yeah, the Sanctum Seeker is Peter's card. Alright. Brawler. Also, this one, Deadeye Brawler. I really like this card, and it's unfortunate that... no, that's not the Brawler. What am I saying? Legion Lieutenant, of course. Wow, that art from afar looks very comparable. And I am guessing that was a Cartouche of Solidarity. Oh, Marshmallow. For a second you had me enthusiastic that our Canadian friend was here. So mean. Fatal Push. Finally, Fatal Push. Fatal Push takes out the Lieutenant and evens that board up. Ian now has access to his blue mana. This is the Scarab God's Army deck, so needs some blue to cast the big baddie. Also means he now has counter mana up, but not sure how much counter. Oh, and there we have him. The Scarab God, breaker of board stalls, finisher of control matches. So white is the color that has most cards to deal with this. Most of them are oh! Final reward, main deck out of Peter Steenbeek is sick and tired of losing against the Scarab God, exiles it off the face of the planet. Excellent. See, this is how you deal with the Scarab God, people. Ah, it's a Squire's Devotion under the Adanto Vanguard. That's a great way to offset the life loss that comes with making it indestructible. I'm actually looking forward to Dominaria. We're probably going to play a deck that has a Squire's Devotion and Famished Paladin in it. I have some juicy plans there. And if you know what I like to play in Gentry, you know these juicy plans go infinite. Okay, Sailor of Means was the blue card in Ian's hand. As this game is turning into a board stall that just gets sporadically punctured through by the Adanto Vanguard. Another Anthem effect out of Peter will break this wide open yet again. as the life totals take 8-point swings turn after turn after turn after turn. Damn it. 2-3 flying vampire. Don't remember what the name is. No, I don't remember. Too bad. Why does this happen to me? What? Why are there a bunch of search results here? Huh? Ian tapping 4 mana for a reconsideration. Nah, there we have him, the Deadeye Brawler. We mentioned him before. One of my favorite cards that I haven't played with yet. It just it looks so good. So good. Yet it has no deck. It's so sad. So sad.
Blessing token.
Hmm?
And City's Blessing token.
I don't have one. Exultant Sky Marcher. Thank you very much. That's the one. And this board is getting gummed up even more by the second. That the Danto Vanguard remains a huge problem for Ian to deal with. We're not so far from the point where he has to start chum blocking the effer. Peter starting to count out his Alpha Strike potential. He did play another Legion Lieutenant again. It's on the top under his name bar. Finally decided he had enough of it and is coming in for the Alpha Strike. Everything has another +1/+1 bonus here. Yeah, it looks like he's I haven't seen him play I think it's called the Blood Lord, the one you're referring to. No, the Bishop of... It's also a Bishop. All the vampires are bishops, whatever. But I'm not sure if he's playing that. Haven't seen it from him. I think every vampire deck running Forerunner should have that as a one-off in its deck. Just go like, game over. Because this deck is so prone to creating huge board stalls. So this is 13 damage coming through, I think. And there's only 2 points of vigilance, so Ian will have to get some more blocks on. Yeah. So this is 4/7 coming through, I think. 7 coming through and +2/+2. Oh no, it's the Ascent +2/+2. Oef. Peter, hoe noemt hij de instant? Might of? It's pride of something. Pride of Conquerors. +2/+2, so that's 4, that's 8, 13, and there's only 2 points of lifelink. I think this is over. counting out. And that's 13. I think... where did the Legion's lieutenant go? Yeah, if the Legion's lieutenant died in that combat, yeah, that would explain why he's at 3. Yeah, there's no Legion's lieutenant anymore. Whew, that was quite the interesting little combat step. Peter on 44 now. Also, for those of you wondering why there's pink flowers in between the two playmats, there's a joint event with the Lady Planeswalker Society, and they like to put pink flowers everywhere, so there's that. Man's gotta do what a man's gotta do. So, Pride of Conquerors, also a card that I feel is a bit underplayed at this point. It being an instant makes it so much scarier than Trial of Solidarity, even if a lot of the times those two cards have exactly the same effect. Okay, we're getting an attack back for 4, getting some lifelink. Ian has the City's Blessing, so that attack was more to draw something than anything. We have a Chupacabra. Ravenous Chupacabra coming out. So, Shadow, you thought he wouldn't be able to break the board stall? I think he has proven you incorrect. In the meantime, the Abyss in the form of Adanto Vanguard is coming in. But he's actually taking 4 damage. That's scary. That could have been the end there. Evolving Wilds finds a second island here, as Ian is looking to thin his deck and to increase his chances for a top deck. I'm not sure if he's playing... He's probably playing Golden Demise, and that's really the card he's looking for here. It solves all of his problems. Except then... Yeah, no, that solves all a single Golden Demise. So he has to attack with the Brawler here. And Peter should jump block it to make sure Ian doesn't draw an extra card. Sailor of Means as the top deck. Swing with the Brawler. Come on, Ian. Swing with it. You can do it. Swamp. Doesn't do anything. Swing with the Brawler. Yeah, and there he comes. The Brawler. And Peter offers up the trade. 2 for 1, that touch, yep. Peter had to block that to stop any top decking possibilities. Now the Adanto Vanguard is a lethal machine. Yep, there's a Zealot there, all too ready to jump in front of it. I don't know how many cards Peter still has in hand. That's a second Adanto Vanguard. And there's nothing with more than 3 toughness, so that's still a very problematic card for Ian. He isn't dead yet. All he needs to do is keep beating those Vanguards in. The Sanctum Seeker drains a lot. I thought it only gave life loss. Peter just letting it pass. Ooh, and then we have a Prophet for Ian. Prophet. There we go. Twilight Prophet, that's the one. And a Sailor of Means, so more chump blockers for Ian. Sailor of Means pretty relevant here. Prophet as well, because both have 4 toughness, so the second Adanto Vanguard is suddenly a lot less threatening. And again, he can only swing with the 4-2. But it keeps being an abyss for Ian. Yeah, Sailor of Means seems like the obvious blocker. As long as that Prophet is there. Call to Feast to threaten going around the blockers, but with that Sanctum Seeker coming in, he's probably going to steal another life. Very grueling match for Ian to play. Now we also have the Twilight Prophet online, and I think he drew a land in this step. But that will hopefully in time give Ian a slightly more healthy life total. And again, all that... Well, Peter has 6 attackers, so if he alpha strikes... I know, the lifelink from the gifted Etherborn kind of screws up the alpha strike scenario. But the longer he waits, the more that Prophet is going to do. Now, if Peter is holding any sort of pump effect or another Pride of Conquerors, then this alpha strike is likely for the kill. Without the pump effect, this is just suicidal, though. I'm not sure if Peter has the Pride or that he doesn't realize that the lifelink will save Ian and decimate his board. Oh, I put the Twilight Prophet in front of the Adanto Vanguard, though. I'm not sure why he's offering up a Sanctum Seeker here. Yeah, switching the 2 would have been a better scenario for Ian, I feel like. Now we have status quo, both of them losing 1 permanent. Not sure if this was a relevant attack, really. He could have just played the Martyr. Well, he's showing that he's not afraid to attack. Which, if this game would last a bit longer, can be quite an influencer for Peter. For Ian, I mean. So the Alpha Strike here, while it achieved not that much, will be in Ian's mind when he starts stabilizing and needs to look for the attack back. Needs to realize he has to be very safe, because Peter just showed he's not afraid to go onto the aggressive. Actually, get rid of that yellow light. I don't know why it's been there for so long. Another Chupacabra comes in for Peter. Takes out a token. I think comes in with the gifted Etherborn. Oh yeah, that enables him to come in. Apparently drew another land of the Twilight Prophet. Not being very lucky with those. Got the wrong one. Hup, sorry, forgot to click on the correct Chupacabra. So the Sanctum Seeker drains 1 life when it attacks, and then the Gifted Etherborn deals 2. Ian slowly creeping back up in life total, thinning his deck with Evolving Wilds. That second add-on to Vanguard, again, irrelevant by the Twilight Prophet. I'm a bit confused as to why the Sanctum Seeker is still alive, because I do seem to remember that that blocked a add-on to Vanguard at some point. Flips a Essence Scatter, I think that was. As there's another call to feast for Peter, so again threatening to go around it. At this point Ian is on 7 life, so he has a more comfortable cushion at this point. But again, Peter threatening a lot of damage as soon as he has a team buff effect, such as the Pride of Conquerors or the even Trial of Solidarity, really. Ian considering attacking with the Twilight Prophet. That's his only creature with 4 toughness. Yeah, drains another life. And we have another Gifted Etherborn. So at this point, Ian's plan is becoming to... sorry about that. It's becoming to bypass the damage of the Adanto by out life gaining him. But that just maintains the status quo, since both of these attacks will come from sources with lifelink.
Floris, hoe noemt die kaart?
Consigned to Dreams was flipped, and because the Twilight Prophet asks for the total converted mana cost, we get a question from the players just how exactly that works. That will be a total of 7, unless... yeah, 7-point life swing both ways. So that's a bounce effect. That actually gets rid of the Squire's Devotion on the Adanto Vanguard. It's pretty important. Dusk Legion Zealot comes out for Ian, draws him another card, and you can see by the excitement in his place that he understands that he is on the winning hand. Another Gifted Etherborn comes in. This time we get an attack from... excuse me. An attack from the Twilight Prophet. Ian starting to fight back and win a game where, don't forget, he was at 1 life at one point. Lost 50% of his health to his own Dusk Legion Zealot to draw himself into the answers he needed. Oh, but we have a Legion Lieutenant. Now don't forget, we still have the consigned to Oblivion in Ian's hands, but that is actually there to fix his Adanto Vanguard problem at this point.
Robin doet de groetjes. En hij heeft een t-shirt gekocht dankzij u.
Cool. Okay, consign bounce. Oh, and now I did miss what happened to the lieutenant again. So apparently there was another removal spell in Ian's hand. And that's I think it's Trailblazer something something. Oh, I need to learn the cards. Is it Trailblazer? It's not Trailblazer. It's the one to explore duty. So apparently the Adanto Vanguard died. I'm not sure to what. I got distracted there for a while. I'm really sorry, dear viewers, for being such a horrible commentator. And this is turning into a crazy grindfest of a game, where of course Ian, with the more controlling build, has the advantage in the late game. This looks a bit like a desperation alpha strike coming out of Peter, and without a pride of conquerors, this is just conceding the game. So Ian pretty much has to consider the fact that a pride is very likely coming out of Peter's hand, and that will reset the board. It will kill every 3 toughness creature that is blocking at this point. But that doesn't mean that Ian has a chance not to let that happen, really. So if the pump comes, then this is exactly 11, but with the life link, that's going to be okay. And if there's no pride, then this is just decimating Peter's board. And then I see very little point in actually committing to this kind of attack. So either this is Ian playing really good. Yeah. Pride of Conquerors. Perfectly played around by Ian. What? There we go. Pride of Conquerors gives everything +2/+2, and Ian blocked just well enough. The god was actually exiled by a final reward. So the god was played and then immediately exiled with final reward. That's a pretty strong way to fix that problem. And I wouldn't say Ian flooded out per se. I mean, he's drawn 5 more cards than Peter at this point. And yes, 3 of those were lands. Okay. Ian now going onto the offensive, so I assume he drew a Golden Demise. Otherwise, this is a suicide attack. It's 2, 4, 6, 9. Peter's attack is for 9. May his godly soul rest in pieces. Pieces! Death to the Scarab god! Peter looks excited, but probably is starting to realize that his Alpha Strike puts Ian to 1. I'm not sure why he would keep back a single Martyr of Dusk. Because this doesn't really change the curve all that much. 4 mana for Call to Feast again. Call to the Feast. 4 blockers, that explains even less why he would keep back the Martyr, really. Make more sense to keep back 2 Martyrs so he can double block both the Sanctum Seeker and the Gifted Etherborn. Because right now he only has 5 power and anything he can block has 3 toughness. Twilight Prophet coming in. Yeah, Sanctum Seeker. That Sanctum Seeker that was stolen from Peter with the Gonti has done so much work in this match. It's been instrumental in Ian staying alive. It's almost ridiculous. Like, he would have died on 3 different combat steps already if that Sanctum Seeker hadn't been there. Turns out playing with your opponent's cards is a sure way to victory. And again, Peter in the count. Do I have an Alpha Strike? I guess he played the Squire's Devotion on the Adanto Vanguard again. Not sure what's happening there. Oh no, it's just an extra Martyr. Alpha Strikes 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Again, 1 point short. And then 2 points of lifelink coming in for Ian. So again, very predictable blocks. Does get the Sanctum Seeker off the table. I'm not sure what was going on there. 1, 2, 3, 4. 7. So instead of going to 4, to 3, yeah, he's going to 2 with this block. If you block like this, you might as well block the I'm a bit confused as to what's happening. Danto Vanguard. Is the Sanctum Seeker a 3-4? It's a 3. That explains why it's still on the board and why these blocks are happening this way. I am such an idiot. I was convinced that it was a 3-3. The Black Desert's ability, that's the Cycling Desert that's in play. Yeah, it's not the -2/-2 desert. Again, the 1/2 Explore flying gets a +1/+1 counter. Ian revealed the 4-drop apparently. And the Alpha Strike for... oh no, Ian already attacked. So returns a Trailblazer. Draws a card because it's a pirate. And explores a land into his hand. And plays another Gifted Etherborn. Finally presenting a board state that is actually capable of taking this historical, mythical, insane game 1 that we've been witnessing here for the past, I think, 40 minutes at this point. And again, let's not forget that Ian has been fighting back from 1 point of life for what's 12 turns now, I think. It's and let's also not forget the perfect play around the Pride of Conquerors. If he had blocked with 1 less creature, he would have been dead. If he blocked with 1 more creature, he wouldn't have had the board presence to come back from that state. His opponents at 4, all he needs to do is attack. Yeah, indeed, the Sanctum Seeker does 1 point and the attackers do 3, and Ian takes game 1 of this insane match. That was insane. 12 minutes left in the round and we're playing 55-minute rounds here, so that was a 43-minute game, ladies and gentlemen. That, yes, damn cool Gentry game. Thank you very much, chat, to stress. We finally had that big back and forth, the big swings. Part of my chair. The big swings, the haymakers, people trying to finish it. Again, an awesome play from Ian, playing around the Pride of Conquerors there. Really impressed by that. Ian, if you watch this, nice. That was a pretty advanced play from you. So good to see that. There is some sideboarding coming in, but as these decks go and as the players go, I think it's the writing's on the wall for Peter here, and it will be a 101 unless Ian mulligans to oblivion and Peter gets a very aggressive start. Yeah, that was a pretty crazy game. Around 10 minutes left on the clock, and of course the one round that looks like we'll have a full round coverage is the one where I need to pee. Sigh. But you know what I say, if things are crazy and everything is exciting,
ain't nobody got time for that.
Exactly, no time for toilet breaks, because
This is Sparta!
yes, that's needed to get that out of my system. With all the tension in there, I didn't even have time to quack in between, but now I can. I hate it in sitcoms when they make a joke and you get the laugh track and the actors are just kind of staring into the camera for a while. This is like, whew. Yeah, wow, thanks, Eddie. Now, Peter, it's time to show what you got. Ian can now pretty much board out victory conditions, get all the answers in there, has some cards that are less interesting anyway. Whew. Excuse me. Okay. Just under 10 minutes left in this round. All he needs to do is survive. Yeah, Peter's gonna have to hurry to win a game in 10 minutes. His deck is capable of it. If he curves out crazy with his lieutenants, call to if he goes call to feast 3-drop, call to feast. If he goes Legion, what's the thingamajig is, Legion Lieutenant into 3-drop or even another 2-drop into Call the Feast into Pride of Conquerors, that's a turn 5 kill easily. Peter not the one to really wants to get into the game. Ian not the one to start stalling or pulling off any shenanigans here. He's ready to game. He knows he has the upper hand. He probably sideboarded into all the answers he needs. And we see double Dusk Legion, Zealot, Hostage Taker, and I think Fatal Push. Pretty much the dream hand for him to survive any 10-minute onslaught that Peter can bring to the table. All he needs is a sweeper effect. Adanto Vanguard is a problematic one. A Moment of Craving would be the great filler here. Yeah, Moment of Craving is such a good counter to Adanto Vanguard, and I don't think we've seen that in Ian's deck so far. Yeah, there we have the Squire's Devotion. Where is it? Squire's Devotion. The Dream combo, gain 4 life. 4 life makes it indestructible. Ian doesn't really care at this point. The Zealot should be more than enough of a roadblock, and next turn we have the Hostage Taker coming in to eat an Adanto Vanguard. Yeah, Duress to make sure there's nothing in that hand that can get rid of a Hostage Taker. Sees only creatures in there. There was a Legion Lieutenant, pretty relevant in that hand. Peter looking for that angle to finish the game. Should play the Legion's Lieutenant first, so the token can also attack, I guess. Sky Marcher. You're going to make a magic related app to test yourself. I'm curious to see what that's gonna be. Hostage Taker. Grabs an Adanto Vanguard. And Ian looks to have stabilized the board here. That Sky Marcher is going to push through for a little bit of damage. And with the Legion's Lieutenant in Peter's hand, that is a 4-turn clock. Looks like he's going to have 4 turns to be attacking. Getting a Dusk Legion Zealot first to dig a bit deeper. There is the Lieutenant. And we are on a 4-turn clock. Turn 1 down for Ian. And I don't think time has been called yet. So even if it's called now, Peter will get 3 more attacks. Just what he needs. So it's up to Ian. But Ian has that Fatal Push and now has a treasure to activate the Fatal Push. 1 white mana, you have the spell that makes stuff indestructible, but that's not really played. So I think sacking that treasure to go for the Fatal Push here is the play, as that most likely locks up the game. We have 4 more minutes, so we have a few more turns to go apparently. Fatal Push takes out the Lieutenant instead of the Sky Marcher. That's interesting, because with the time that leaves Peter an avenue for another, because that only gives Ian 1 extra turn to live. on the current board. Of course, we don't know what's in his hand. Maybe he's not so afraid. Is that a cutlass? What? Ah, he has a second fatal push. That's a cutlass in a vampire deck. Yes, a pirate cutlass in a vampire deck. And it was almost good enough to actually put a 2-turn clock on the table, but that didn't happen now. Wow. Okay. Yeah, we've talked about this. If a Dainto Vanguard punches through the mid game, then I guess Cutlass is what you need to be relevant in the late game. Well, it's decent, but no, don't make a chess clock for Magic. It doesn't work with priority passes. Okay, Legion's Landing for Peter. Still looking for that avenue to punch through the last 7 points of damage, but as the board is developing, I think he's gonna need some evasion, probably flying, in order to make that possible. That Sailor on the other side. It's making it near impossible to attack to. Call to the Feast gives Peter a bunch of permanents, and again we have a Pride of Conquerors being a possible and realistic way to punch through the last bits of damage. Consign gets rid of one of the tokens, as Ian is just trying to survive long enough to make this game a draw. Doesn't even have to worry about trying to win. Otherwise he could have gone onto the attack here. There's not that much on the other side of the table. It's interesting that Ian chose not to play Consign. I think Peter only had 2 cards in hand there. That would have gotten rid of the threat of the Pride of Conquerors, unless I'm not seeing the number of cards correctly. No, he only had 1 card. I guess Ian didn't want to commit to that. So we have a 3/2 token. That gets blocked by the Sailor of Means, so hardly relevant. It looks like Peter knows this. He can flip his Legion's Landing, but he will lose 2 tokens in the process. While Shadow in the chat is dreaming of a brain technology interface bridge to make Magic more fair. Interesting. Okay, so Peter back to pondering whether or not he should sacrifice 2 tokens to have a token generating land. It's a good plan if you have the long game, but I don't think he has that luxury at this point. Not that he has a better plan, apparently. He would need anything that's a bit bigger coming from his hand. Flips the Legion's Landing, now has Adanto, 3 mana tap to make a vampire. And Ian just lining up his blockers. Eats 2 permanents with his Sailor and his own Dusk Zealot. That of Dainto Vanguard didn't belong to him anyway. And Peter rigorously keeping up with his life total, even though it looks like that will be utterly, as where the milk comes from, useless. 2 mana, has no Dainto Vanguard of his own as Ian casts a Hieroglyphic Illumination. Utterly useless. Now, yeah, looks like Ian has another fatal push hiding in his hand there. So he is pretty safe, and Peter, completely despondent, throws his head on the table, knows that he's not going to punch through anything fast enough here. He would need multiple Pride of Conquerors and other buff style effects. Oh, and we have a Gonti to steal even more goodies from the control of Peter. It's such a horrible feeling to be in this board stall and then somebody plays Gonti and you know you're gonna get the best of the top of your 4 cards against you now. Hostage Taker and Gonti, 2 buddies, take the best of the top 4 in his deck. Ooh, and I think we have a dice there to indicate we are in extra turns, the second extra turn. And Ian just again has to stay alive and has that fatal push. So now that token isn't that threatening at all. I think you can write this down as 101 Ian Ede going to the 4th and final round of this event undefeated. You heard it here first, folks. I don't need to buy the newspaper tomorrow. Ian is a bully. Chat apparently is favoring the underdog in this situation, declaring that Ian is a bully. It's not gonna happen, people. He's dead in the water. Oh, tapping a bunch of mana. No, not tapping a bunch of mana. It's just kidding. Ian's a baker. What you expect? What is your profession? We are warriors.
This is Sparta!
There's no place for bakers here. Wow. People are impressed by my futile attempts at making this remotely interesting, as everybody knows what the eventual outcome of the situation will be.
Nope.
Nope. Ooh, Sailor. Okay, so we have a bit of an attack going on. Sailor means jumping in front of the attack of Vanger. Fatal push jumping from the hand to take out the token is what my prediction is of this interaction. Kabam! Oh my god, it feels so good to be great. Fatal push takes out the token. Cutlass clanks to the floor as the previously empty space occupied by the tokens is no longer there to hold it. So dramatic. Oh, and Gonti reveals a call to the feast, giving Ian a veritable army of sacrificial fodder to throw in front of the onslaught. And Peter scoops them up. No, Peter doesn't scoop them up. He still sees avenues of attack. It is his last turn. What can he do? Not much.
Buttons voor tekstjes.
What?
Buttons.
Oh, double Legion Lieutenant. Does that do anything? I think that is just one turn too late to actually have an impact. This is just chump block, chump block, chump block. Yeah, whatever. Fatal push takes out one of the lieutenants. And all Ian needs to do is block the chumps. And then all Peter has left to think about is
How could this happen to me? I've made my mistakes.
did he make mistakes?
The night goes on as I'm fading away.
Nope.
And that's what Ian goes, nope, you're out of this. 101. Scoop 'em up, boys. They're just milking camera time now. Reveling in their celebrity status. Playing on camera, having commentary by this bedazzling figure that is myself. Extra turn 5. That's what I'm saying. Did he make mistakes? I don't think Peter realistically had an avenue to break through this. Game 1, we couldn't see their hands, of course, but if Peter has any point in which he left 1 point of damage on the table, that came to bite him in the ass as Ian fought back from a life total deficit. I think it was 43-1 at one point, and I'm pretty sure more than 100 creatures went through game 1 before that one was finished. So thank you everybody for game 3. I'm going to take a breather, but I'm guessing round 3 will be starting in just a few minutes. Round 4. That's what I said. These guys don't know anything, right? Chat, right? Yeah, thanks.